This story begins with a box, a $5 box bought at a yard sale in Hudson, New York, by a local thrift shop owner who shared it with me. The box contained documents from the 1920s and 30s, personal photos and letters, news clippings, medical records, intake forms, and parole paperwork. The peculiar thing was that all the contents had to do with girls as young as 12 and as old as 16, who had been incarcerated at the New York State Training School for Girls, an institution that today we would call a youth prison. For the 70 years this institution was open, as many as 15,000 girls did time there, 600 at a time, staying for 2 years or more. As I pieced together clues from the paperwork in the box, stories of individual girls revealed themselves. Anna Murphy, Lila Thomas, Linda Odell, Sarah Greco, Dazzle, were charged with things like having their morals corrupted, improper guardianship, being ungovernable, wayward, and incorrigible. I thought I knew what incorrigible meant, but I re-examined the term. Was it that these girls were unable to be reformed or corrected? Or was this just a code word for girls from immigrant families with few resources, maybe a lot of chaos, girls who had minds of their own? In 1910, training school manager Annie Allen wrote, "Our chief task and aim with delinquent girls is to protect them from the natural consequences of being girls." This translated to some education, some vocational training, and some solitary confinement. In my research, I found that one of these incorrigible girls was the Ella Fitzgerald. Her offense, ungovernable, and will not obey the just and lawful commands of her mother, a judged delinquent. Ella was sent to the training school for running away from her aunt and an abusive uncle. The stories held in this box reach beyond the dust of history to talk to us today. I saw all of us in them. I saw our grandmothers in them. I saw my daughters in them. I saw myself. As an artist, I've been working around mass incarceration for 20 years. And there was something about this box that moved me to create an installation and a visual book. I also put up a website to share these stories, and people started to write to me, wanting to know about their mothers, sisters, and aunts who had been incarcerated at this training school. A man named Thomas reached out, asking me if I had a photograph of his mother. She had been there too, and he had never known her. Others wrote to tell me they had been there and wanted to tell their stories. Liz's story started with the death of her grandmother. That event sent her family into a downward spiral. At the age of 8, Liz was separated from her siblings and sent all by herself to an abusive foster home. By the age of 12, she was at the training school. I spoke to Sharon, who said, "I was running away from home because my friends wanted to go to parties." And her mother had Sharon sent away. Lily told me that to this day, she doesn't know what her offense was. Speaking from experience and a lot of research, teenage girls shoplift, run away, take drugs and drink, fight, and test their family's cultural and religious norms. They do what they want to do. Might these be appropriate rites of passage? And aren't girls who are white or from privileged families, aren't their rebellions often handled without involving the court? Is the same true for poor, disadvantaged, or girls of color? Girls then and are now punished and controlled when what they need are opportunities to take charge of their own lives, assistance for their families, medical care, and safe places to be and grow. Girls then and are now running away from physical abuse, sexual abuse, and family chaos. The charge of being incorrigible sounds so antiquated, but it's still with us today as a box to be checked on intake forms. And in the current DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, we now have oppositional defiant disorder, symptoms of which include loss of temper, argumentative, and defiant. Many courts continue to see the sexual behavior of teenage girls as a disorder, especially in relation to LGBTQ and gender nonconforming identities. Today, there are 70,000 youth in residential placement, 10,000 of whom are girls. The Sexual Abuse to Prison Pipeline is a report out of Georgetown Law School, and it states that 70% of girls in the juvenile justice system have experienced trauma, and invariably, incarceration re-traumatizes and then leads to the possibility of further abuse. There is good news. This year, New York City set the ambitious goal of ending girls' incarceration, and they set up a task force to bring this into being. I hope that the rest of the country will soon follow suit. 40 years after the last incorrigible girl left the training school, I brought together girls, some of whom were living in a group home, to do a girl power workshop in Hudson. After reading the documents and hearing stories of girls who were at the training school and sharing with women who had been there, the girls redefined words used then and now to define young women. Not wild, they said, free. Not unruly, proud. Not defiant, strong. Not wayward, a survivor. Not delinquent, courageous. Not disobedient, determined. Incorrigible, yes, and proud of it.